Thank you. Our third speaker for this session is Roberto Menendez. He is the creator of social humanoid robots and the CEO of Futura, producer of robots especially adapted to events, restaurants, hotels, hospitals, and retail establishments. In a word, nearly everything of importance, I think. He's a noted speaker on artificial intelligence and robots, and he will be speaking to us today on robots helping in hospital, homes, schools, and everywhere. So, Roberto.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're here to talk about robots and artificial intelligence today. My name is Roberto. I grew up in the United States. I'm based in Madrid. So I'm really happy to see a lot of people from both of my loved countries and some others too. So we're going to talk about robots. I manufacture social robots, and we create artificial intelligence algorithms for them. And that gives me a chance to tinker with something that's really cool that's called artificial conscience, which can maybe even sound a little bit scary, and we're going to talk about it, so I hope you can all enjoy it as much as I do. Before we start, there's some questions that always come up, especially where is the future leading us? Will a machine be able to think? I think the television is going to turn off in a minute.
Here, I think it's here.
This is a backup remote, yes.
I don't want that to turn off.
No, it's not.
Can I turn off now?
It is hard.
Okay. So I more or less remember what we're going to talk about. Imagine we're going to talk about first, okay, we're back. Disruption. So where is the future leading us? Will a machine be able to think? This comes up in a lot of movies. We'll see some of that later. Artificial intelligence and conscience. What does that really mean? Are we really able to understand when we talk about artificial conscience? Do we even really know what conscience means? It's a huge question out there. We're going to talk about machine learning, deep learning, which is what we do in social robotics, and what does the future hold in store for us? Okay, so first I want you to take a look. These are some of the disruptive technologies that have changed our lives, and I want you to focus on the rate of change. And I think this is the most important thing we have to keep in mind, because as all of you know, the world is changing really fast, and the rate of change is changing really fast. It's accelerating in an exponential way. So in order to understand that, I placed a line of chronological events that have changed our lives. You have the harnessing of fire, 1.8 million years ago. That was a long time ago. And then we didn't get agriculture until 11,000 years ago. That's a huge gap, right? And if you keep on looking at these disruptive technologies, you have the Industrial Revolution 200 years ago. And then you have electricity 100 years ago. You have computers that came up 40 years ago. And now we have artificial intelligence. So that's going really fast. That's the difference between a linear progression and an exponential progression. And for people, we're talking about it all the time, but sometimes it's really hard to picture. And I want you to really be able to picture what it means. If I were to take 20 steps right now, in a linear fashion, I'd take one step, and then I'd take another step, and then I'd take another, I'd probably reach the end of the room, right? If I do that exponentially, I take one, then I take two, then I take four, I take 8, I'll get to the moon in 20 steps. Okay, I'll probably surpass it. That's huge. Let that sink in, because that's the rate of change we have right now. I call it the birth of fire. I think it can only, the moment we're living today can only be compared to when fire was harnessed by humans. Can you imagine the competitive disadvantage and advantage of people with fire and people without fire? Imagine people today with technology and without technology. That's the difference. People can be left behind. A lot of people can have serious difficulties. So it's up to us to really pursue the fight for spreading technology. And I have two pictures here. One of them is the facts. I want to ask you, does anybody remember the first time they saw a fax? Because I do, because it was so shocking. I was a boy, I was watching the Super Bowl, it was halftime, and I saw a typical commercial, really, really cool commercial. A guy in New York places a document, another guy in Switzerland takes it out, signs it, puts it back in, and the guy gets it like in 2 or 3 minutes. And I was, my mouth agape. I looked at my father and I said, "Dad, is that possible?" He said, "I don't know, son." And it was so amazing, right? And I've lived through that. And what would you think today if you walked into a company and you saw a fax? You would say, "Oh my gosh, this company is obsolete. I'm not going to do business with them," right? So we're the first generation of humans to see technologies appear and become obsolete. That's incredible. That's the rate of change. You've got Neil Harbison on the other side. He's a really, really incredible person. He was born with a strange disability. He can't see colors. He just sees shades of black and white. And he's a really, really incredible person. He studied a lot. He created this microchip. He had someone put it in his brain, and he's the first legally recognized cyborg on Earth. On his passport, it doesn't say male or female. It says cyborg. Okay, so we're actually seeing a different type of species appear right before our eyes. Elon Musk says we're the 1.0 cyborgs because we cannot live without this, right? Who can? WhatsApp was down a few days ago. I don't know if that happened to everyone. How's your life? A lot of people had a really bad time that day. Okay, so how do we get here? There's 3 things I want to talk to you guys about, and in this conference I know everybody knows who Ray Kurzweil is and Turing and more, so let's just go through it really, really fast. Turing, one of the fathers of computing and artificial intelligence, said there will be a day where you can have a conversation with a computer and with a person and you won't be able to distinguish which one it is, and that's really hard because not only does the computer have to be smart enough to be able to dominate sarcasm, for example, but it has to be stupid enough to, so if I ask it, what's the square root of 249.8, and it answers me, I say, you're not a person, you're a computer. Okay, so that's really, really hard, just so we can grasp how hard it is. And I've seen this same graph at the beginning of these conferences. This is Michael Moore. He discovered that every year the capacity of PCs of computing was doubling. That's exponential, right? So in the year 2000, more or less, humans could simulate an insect's brain, and now more or less a mouse's brain, and for 2029, from 2029 to 2049, a human brain, and then look at the graph where it goes to. A computer, maybe the one you can buy at the Media Markt for 1,000 euros, will be able to simulate every single brain. It'll have enough computer power to simulate, be stronger than every single brain. So this is where we're going, and this is what Ray Kurzweil, in a scientific way, made his predictions. He's made so many predictions. José Luis talked about them before, and I was amazed when I heard them the first time, and some of them are really impacting. I haven't placed the most incredible ones there because some people actually get scared about where we're going. But the important ones, especially after 2029, he estimates that the Turing test will be passed, and once this happens, we can talk about a new type of artificial intelligence. Okay? A really cool one I placed at the bottom, which I always really love to talk about, this is after 2029, but it's one of his predictions. The neocortex will be able to be uploaded to the cloud. That means I can take Roberto Menendez, I can upload it on Dropbox and keep it there just in case, or place it on one of my nice robots in case I die or whatever. Imagine that gets hacked and there's 2 Roberto Menendezes walking around. Which one is the real one? That's a really cool subject. Okay, so everybody knows here that we're in an exponential progression right now, headed towards who knows where. We call it the singularity. No one knows where we are going. So what we're working on is an artificial conscience. How can we define artificial conscience if we can't really define what conscience is? Well, this is what we work on. We work on artificial vision, robots that can detect objects and people, and this is extremely useful because they can call us by our name, or they can go places, or they can detect, for example, for security, if I'm wearing security gear or if a door that shouldn't be open is open. We're working on autonomous navigation. Our robots can go from point A to point B, and I can, if it's in master mode and it sees me and I say, go to the kitchen, well, it'll go to the kitchen and do whatever I want. And natural language processing, we have robots which talk to people, and it's really incredible the level of precision that we can achieve. But can they think? That's one of the questions I get. Can they think? Will a machine be able to think? Can it reason? Can it love or be loved? We're going to be talking about these subjects in the next years. I don't know if they can love, but they are truly loved. Here are some of our robots, and they get kissed a lot. And it's really incredible. There's one thing I'm going to tell you about later in the real cases. The first time we took a robot to a nursing home, there was a man that had not talked to his therapist for 3 months, and he just started talking to the robot. He felt at ease with the robot. He said, oh, it looks cute, and he just started telling him about its problems. So that's a really cool situation. Let's talk about real robots that we have. These are some of our robots. We call them social robots because they interact with people. They can interact, they can talk, they can move, and let's see some of the solutions that we have designed for them. We have robots that work at receptions. We have robots that work at restaurants, at hotels for check-in and check-out, at retail, nursing homes. This was our first robot, and we were so proud of it. It was totally a 1.0, but it was so helpful for people, especially helping them with cognitive therapies, and for the health sector, of course. So this is just these are just a few. On our webpage, you can see all the things they do. But basically, you can have a robot at a reception. Right now, during COVID, can you imagine that would have been really useful? So sometimes you go to a company, and there's a guy that looks like he's really bored, and he's jotting your name on a piece of paper, and that's completely inefficient. A robot can do that better. And you need three sets of people to do that. Normally, if you're open 24 hours a day, a robot can be there all day long. It can scan you by its camera, and through artificial vision, it can see who you are. It can hold a conversation. It can call the people that you want to see. You can get security clearance, or you can be on a blacklist. All this without anybody having to do anything. We have robots for restaurants, robots that can go to tables and take orders or even deliver food. We have robots for hotels. We're installing one at a hotel right now in Portaventura. That's in the north, and it's incredible because it's a robot that's designed to. You can ask it any question about where's my room, where can I eat, and it'll have conversations. It'll do storytelling with the people, and it's in the future you'll be able to do the check-in and check-out process with it. And the checkout is really, really easy because it's already got a copy of your face. So have you ever been at a hotel and you want to leave and there's a line and maybe there's a bus full of Korean tourists that have arrived and there's like 20 or 30 people in front and you want to leave? Well, you just go to the robot says, okay, do you want your your bill sent to your normal email? You say yes, and you're out, and that's really painless. Robots for retail, of course. Robots for health, these were our first robots, and especially everybody would prefer to have a human therapist, wouldn't they? Okay, but the human therapist can be with the person normally for half an hour, 1 hour a day. What does the person that has an early stage of dementia or Alzheimer's do all day long? Normally watch TV or sit on their bed, okay, and that's horrible. So what does a robot do? Friendly conversations, show pictures of your family, play music from when you were young, and just keep the person entertained with a series of games, and that really beats the hell out of being lonely all day long. So these are some of our real projects. Over here, people that are from Spain can see a lot of well-known people like the mayor of Madrid, the opposition party leader, the kings of Spain. Okay, so we've got a lot of robots installed. This is for the main Madrid City Council in the fair that's called Fitur. This was our first robot in a nursing home in the Canary Islands. On the right, you can see the unboxing. People were like really shocked. The therapist, like, wow, this is our new colleague. And you can see the conversations it's maintaining with people, and it was really, really funny. Robots at restaurants. robots. These are receptionist robots and robots that are helping teachers at Space Techies, which is an academy for digital education. They just opened their second outlet, and our robot, Tokyo, the robot, is also a receptionist with them, so that means the business model works. At hotels, we've had different installations for catering and parties too. This is another high-tech institute that uses Tokyo as a salesperson because he's placed outside. He initiates conversations and he says, "You want to come in and talk to my human colleagues?" So it's brutal. And we've been on national TV so many times talking with our robots because it's something that's really interesting for people. Here's some more events we've carried out at hotels. And we have this robot is dressed in a really crazy way. It reminds me of E.T. when it came out on that Halloween scene, right? And it's for the taxi company, local taxi company. You know, taxis are under siege by Uber and Cabify. So we're placing these two robots at the T4 terminal in the Madrid airport. So people, when they arrive, wow, a robot, I'm gonna play around with it and I'm gonna order my taxi from the robot. Okay, so these are real business solutions. This is at the Only You hotels. And this, I'm really, really proud of Don Churro. Don Churro means basically Mr. Pastry. It's a really small bar in Valencia, and our robots, they sell for 15,000 euros, and we normally lease them at 400 euros a month. So I said, if Don Churro can have a robot, everybody can have a robot. So I'm glad this is going to be for the masses. We installed our first robot in Andorra, in a pharmacy, and it's also a receptionist. And what it does is collect leads from people that comes, and it asks them to create a fidelity card so we can be in touch with them. And since it's a robot and it's not aggressive like a human salesperson, well, people play along and they leave all their data. The Federation of Fish Markets. I wouldn't know how to translate that. The robot has gone from fish market to fish market in Spain, asking people about what fish they use, the health benefits, and helping them also collect leads. So these are, as you can see, it's not only we're going to space and there's a robot. No, that's also, we also have a lot of projects which are real life. And humanoid robots, there's this robot that was made that inspired me in Hong Kong, and it was a robot of Scarlett Johansson, and I said, if this guy can do it, I've been in touch with him. His name is Rick Ma, I seem to remember, and I've been in touch with him so many times, and I said, I'm going to copy you, because, you know, Chinese people normally always copy us, so I said it would just be poetical justice if we copied them in return, so that balances everything out. And we created Nairobi the robot, which José Luis knows, and it's been around in a lot of TV shows. I'm going to show you some real artificial intelligence solutions that we have today. People detection and perimeters. Imagine there's a lot of people and I need a robot to go and help them because the humans can't cope with all the people there are. So I have, we create a perimeter and we create facial recognition when it detects a person. If there's so many persons, more than 10 people in a line, well, you can send a robot to the back of the line and try to speed that up. This is one of our interns, Gonzalo. During COVID, we said, let's play around with gesture detection. And what we did was, before people, when they were talking to our robots, they had to press on the tablet. And, you know, for COVID, a lot of people would freak out and said, okay, let's do that contactless. So now what we do is gestures, and we can order 1, 2, 3, or whatever. And we've been working on that, and that helped us to escalate to more ambitious projects, and we're carrying one out for a really big company right now. It's the one on the right, and their problem was that people weren't wearing their security gear. Why? Because either the security guard wasn't there, he was in the bathroom, or he was really good friends and he didn't want to be like, hey, you can't go in without the security gear. Okay, so that's a great job for a robot. So what we did was design an AI algorithm to detect the different components of the security gear, and there's a red light, green light, and there's a still that opens or closes. Okay, that's maximum efficiency. That's a real case scenario where there's cost efficiency and more security, and everyone's happy. What does the future hold in store? I get asked a lot what we're seeing right now, all these awesome examples that we've been talking about. This is narrow AI. This is the pre-kindergarten of artificial intelligence. Once strong A will arrive, it will be a new world. It will be a singularity. And that's some of the things that we see in movies. These are some of my favorites, Ex Machina and Blade Runner. I loved Blade Runner 2049, by the way. And we're talking about transhumanism. Are we already cyborg 1.0? Are we still Homo sapiens? It's hard to really decide, right? We're just talking about the metaverse. Or we can just live in a pod and go to a really cool world and fly around the universe. It could be. Are we talking about tech, or are we talking about philosophy, right? Where do we want to go as a species? And just to finish off, I'd like to say artificial intelligence, a lot of people are extremely scared of it. It's just a tool. Just like a hammer, you can open someone's head with it, or you can build a house and live a happy life. Where we go depends completely on us. Thank you very much.